So, what happens when a potential U.S. president calls a foreign general his favorite field marshal, but at the exact same time, his own intelligence agencies are sounding the alarm, calling that same person a major risk? It's a huge contradiction, right? Let's dive in and unpack what's really going on here. Right off the bat, here's the core of the issue. U.S. intelligence isn't just mildly concerned. No, their analysis is pretty clear. They see Pakistan's powerful army chief, Asim Munir, as a serious liability, a big risk for a potential new Trump administration. The alarm bells are definitely ringing inside the intelligence community. Okay, so why the giant red flag? What is it about this guy that has America's intelligence experts so worried? Well, it really all boils down to a specific geopolitical strategy that they believe Pakistan has, frankly, perfected over the years. And that strategy is known as the double game. It's that tricky balancing act where a country tries to be an ally to two opposing sides at once. In this case, we're talking about playing nice with the United States while also cozying up to a regional adversary like Iran. It's all about playing both sides for your own benefit. And analysts are pointing to some pretty specific evidence. They talk about Munir's deep personal connections to Iran's Revolutionary Guards, ties he built way back when he was a military intelligence officer. They also point to this pattern of behavior, saying great things about the U.S. one minute and then turning around and condemning Israel the next, which seems to be a clear nod to Iran. The thinking here is pretty simple. For Pakistan, an alliance with the U.S. might come and go, but Iran, they're always going to be the next-door neighbor. Now, let's flip to the other side of this whole puzzle because this is where this story gets really fascinating. It's this jarring contradiction between those very serious private intelligence warnings and the very public, very enthusiastic praise. And boom, there it is. This one quote just says it all. Donald Trump has actually called Asim Munir his favorite field marshal. I mean, that's not just a polite comment. It's a personal endorsement that makes those intelligence warnings sound even louder. So we know the intelligence community is worried. But what about the American public? Where do they stand on Pakistan? Well, it turns out their view seems to line up a lot more with the spies than with the presidential praise. Just take a look at these survey numbers. The difference is pretty stark. You've got 56% of Americans who see neighboring India as a friend, but when you look at Pakistan, that number just nosedives to 28%. But the really telling part? That's the enemy column. 40%. That's huge. 4 out of every 10 Americans surveyed flat out see Pakistan as an enemy nation. You have to remember, this is a country where Osama bin Laden was found hiding. So there's this deep-seated distrust that is just a world away from the whole favorite field marshal idea. Okay, so what are the real-world stakes here? What happens when you have this kind of split? Well, it could have some major fallout for key U.S. alliances in Asia, especially for the Quad. That's the big strategic partnership between the U.S., India, Australia, and Japan. And this really lays out the concern pretty clearly. On one side, we're hearing that Trump is ready to travel to Pakistan, maybe even considering a trip to China. But on the other side, crickets. Not a word about visiting India, and the big Quad summit that India's supposed to host suddenly looks a lot less certain. It really looks like a potential pivot away from our allies and towards our adversaries. All of this brings us to the real nail-biter question. When you look at the long, really complicated history between the U.S. and Pakistan, and all these accusations of the double game, you have to ask, are we just watching history repeat itself all over again? And here is the absolute biggest piece of irony in this entire story. The one person who seems to be walking right into this potential trap is the very same person who gave this crystal clear warning back in 2017. It's just a stunning quote, especially when you think about what's happening now. So that's where we are. We have a potential president who seems to be embracing a leader that his own intelligence community views as a major threat, and a leader who he himself once accused of deception, which leaves us with one final